What's going on, guys? It's your boy Thriller here, and we are here for the week 1 team builder of the MMDL Mischief Mew Draft League. In case anyone was wondering what it was called, since I didn't say it in the draft analysis. But we are taking on the commissioner himself, Kaz. It's my life, aka Kaz. He is the owner and commissioner of the league itself. He personally invited us to join the league, and I was technically on my leave break once I was going to be ending, but you know what? An opportunity like this is very easy. And plus, I wanted to have a feeling of playing in the SPL. And this is kind of exactly what Cavs wanted to do with it. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll do one more league before I maybe take a break or just take some time off. So I want to do it. And Kaz has rigged the schedule so we face week 1. He probably just rigged it in general so we can finally play because I actually don't think me and Kaz have ever played against each other, at least to my memory. And if we have Kaz, I'm sorry I forgot. But this is, I think, our first time ever playing against each other, and this should be a pretty good battle. We definitely have a big matchup on our hand here because he went and drafted 12 Pokemon, which was the maximum, and it definitely was a challenging one here for us to really figure this out. But if you guys are excited for this team, leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Join the Furry Crew today because you'll be thrilling with the king of the crew. And with that, let's break down this video. First and foremost, if you guys did not check out the team builder, I did state I was going to do team builders for this league, only specifically this league, because of the fact that, again, we are going to be talking about abilities for each Pokemon, going over with it, that, and I want to go in more in depth of exactly what my opponent has for his team and why I think this Pokemon comes, where this doesn't come, why this ability over that ability, and then do the same for my team. Because obviously, if you guys have seen what we do on Draft League videos, I do a bit of a mini team builder into then my team analysis and then into the battle itself. But with this type of a league, with this format, I wanted to make sure you guys had a more in-depth analysis of exactly why I went with what I went with and decided to go with what I decided to do. So let's go ahead and get into it. First off, Cass's team is Ogerpon with Grassy Surge and Sword of Ruin, Garganical with Unaware and a Magic Guard, Galissapod with Tough Claws and Primordial Sea, Hoopa with the Beads of Ruin and Queenly Majesty, Cyclozar with the Aerialate and Turbo Blaze, Skuntank with Earth Eater and Vessel of Ruin, Girder with Fluffy and Technician, Electrode with Refrigerate and Note Guard, Galarian Stunfisk with Well-Baked Body and Levitate, Swadloon with Sturdy and Prankster, Simisear with Desolate Land and Protein, and Primarina with Regenerator and Volt Absorb. Now, of course, if you guys did check out our team, we have a Drought and Mummy Mega Houndoom, Tablets of Ruin Immunity Suicune, Refrigerate Levitate Jolteon, Galarian Weezing with Earth Eater and Prankster, Fortress with Willy Body and Vessel of Ruin, Rugarius with Frisk and Filter, Hisuian Bravey with Magic Guard and Compound Eyes, Lycanroc Dust with Sword of Ruin and Moxie, Rillaboom with Galvanize and Natural Cure, and Crabominal with Scrappy and Libero. So, looking at Kaz's team, I really struggled to really pinpoint some things about his team. There's only two Pokemon on his roster when I went through the abilities, the Mons, and really was kind of just going in my head here. There were two Pokemon I think they're guaranteed not to show up here. It's going to be Garganical and Galarian Stunfisk. Galarian Stunfisk, in my personal opinion, does absolutely nothing for Kaz in this matchup besides being a stealth rocker for his team. I don't think it offers too much of what it wants to do in terms of countering my team, in terms of the offense. And I feel like I can work around both of its abilities relatively well because it can't do much against anything else on my team. So I really don't think it comes. If it does come, I would probably say Will Bake Body makes more sense into the team I have with decent fire coverage options and also being the way to maybe take a hit from Hound Doom. And Garganical, I didn't think comes this week because I just didn't think Garganical had the matchup for it, honestly. I just think Garganical doesn't really fit on a team that can really counteract my team per se. If I was to take a guess, I probably would say Unaware would be the ability if he brought it. But like I said, I don't think Garganical doesn't come this week, in my honest to God opinion. Now, the team I'm expect now they're the next month. Now, everything else pretty much can come. There's a lot of different variations of what I can expect my opponent to be bringing to this matchup. And actually, uh, I have the things right there, but we'll talk about them right here anyway. So, well, I'll show you as well. But the next one I think doesn't come here is actually Primarina. Now, I could still see Primarina here. But of the next roughly four Pokemon we're going to talk about, these are the Pokemon that are not coming. I'm going to break down why they're not coming. I think Primarina is the less likely of the four. It still has enough merit to show, and I do think if it's coming, it's forced to be Regenerator in this matchup. The reason why I don't think it comes is that Houndoom gets good coverage into it. Jolteon beats it for the most part if it's not Volt Absorb. Rillaboom always beats it. Braviary, I feel like can beat it. Weezing beats it. Carbonal can beat it once we get out of the typing with Libero. I think it can definitely still show, but I think of the four mons we're about to talk, I think it's the most least likely to show. The next mon I think we're not going to see being brought this matchup is going to be Girder. Now, Girder definitely can be very annoying for my team, especially Technician. I think if it comes, Technician is 1000% the ability. Fluffy doesn't make a ton of sense with Houndoom there. I also think Fluffy doesn't do too much for him outside of being able to take body presses from Fortress, hits from Runerigus, Lycanroc, and stuff like that. I think it's just not that good here. But I do think Girder has some merit still. I think Girder with Technician would definitely be annoying because those Mach Punches would be really annoying for us to deal with. And just overall, Girder's just a really strong defensive piece here in this matchup, and we really aren't that too accustomed to it. Next Pokemon I don't think is coming is Skuntank here. I think Skuntank, of the two defensive options that he does have here, I do think Skuntank has some chance to show up here. Skuntank, I think if it's coming, I think it's going to be most likely Vessel of Ruin here because I think he needs Vessel of Ruin. I think he knows he's got a lot of pieces that can overwhelm things like Runeriga, so he doesn't really have an Earth Eater here. So I do think the Vessel of Ruin, I definitely could see an Assault Vest variation come this week. Assault Vest can definitely be very annoying for my team to kind of take on 1v1 with it. But overall, I just think it's kind of be one of those Pokemon that I do think doesn't really have that enough of a merit to show. But again, like I said, I would never be surprised to see it be brought up. And the last Mon that I think could not come this week. Let me actually make sure I did my math right here. Yes, okay. The last Pokemon I think does not come this matchup, but I can 1000% potentially see it coming is Ogerpon. If Ogerpon comes, it's 100% Sword of Ruin. No if, ands, or but about it. Grassy Search is way too risky for a team that I have to really take advantage of that. The only reason there's a slim chance Kaz does not bring his first round pick is simply for the fact that it's going to struggle with all the moves that it needs in this matchup. It does not have enough coverage to do a lot for what he wants, unless he wants to be a breaker with U-turn as an option to hit my Rillaboom. I think outside of that, though, this thing can definitely be a monster. I don't like if he wants to bring it, it has to be Scarf, it has to be Banded, it has to be Trailblaze, it can't be SC, I feel like. And if it's SC, it's giving up Trailblaze if anything for it. So this is a Pokemon that definitely can be a bit of a complex problem for a lot of people. And overall, I do think it's most likely a chance to show up here. But I think with the six that we're about to talk about, I do think it makes the most sense. So with that being said, let's talk about the six. And as you can see here, these are the six that we talked about. Also, don't worry about this. This game will be played way before this one. So don't worry about that. But those are the six that I expect my opponent to bring. Let's go over the six that I am expecting my opponent to bring. I think Golisopod is 1000% coming here. Now, Golisopod is a very threatening Pokemon here. I do think Tough Claws makes most sense. I could see him bringing Primordial Seed because of the fact that it would be very important to have being able to stop Houndoom's Drought because once I Mega Evolve, Drought's gone for the rest of the game. Drought is pretty much gone from play my playpen of tools with Houndoom if I want to get rid of it early on. So I think that could be really useful there. But I feel like in terms of damage and damage output, I feel like Golisopod has to be tough claws here. I think first impression is really unresisted for the most part of my team. I do not have a good bug switching on my squad outside of Runerigus, Lycanroc, and Weezing. Um, a lot of the things I have is either neutral or super effective against it. So I do think Tough Claws has to be the choice here. I think this is either going to be Bandit or Chardy Berry. Now, the reason why I think Chardy Berry is a very important option here is I do have a Lycanroc on my team that can easily revenge this in terms of priority outside of first impression. But I really think this is a mod that if I do not stop, it will steamroll and it will put me out in the pasture if I'm not careful. Definitely a mod that I have to be very, very careful around and making sure I'm paying attention to that ability. Up next is Electrode, which is giant on the screen for some reason. Electrode can come for a lot of reasons. One, a refrigerate with Bolt Beam. Bolt Beam is really hard for my team to switch into. I could see this team being position specs. I could see a fast taunt set. I can see a fast screen set. There's a lot of magnitude of areas to where I can see him bringing this, that, or this. But I do think Electrode with its speed is really good into this matchup, especially if he wants to make sure he's trying to outspeed everything on my team. And I just think overall having Refrigerate really gives him an option to hit things like Rillaboom, Runerigus, Hisuian Braviary, potentially if you want to go for the electric move based on a prediction or something. Excuse me, something. So I overall think Electro very solid mon in this matchup here. I think Cyclozar comes. I think if you look at his team right now, the fact that Cyclozar is his only removal option, and the fact that Fortress definitely is going to come here with the well-baked body. I think he has to make sure he has something to make sure he has. And I do think it is forced to be air late this week. I think he can't play around Runerigus and play around certain mons here. I think making sure you are guaranteed removing them hazards, and more importantly, making sure that you can kind of be able to keep things in check is really good. Having this kind of make sure he keeps in check Rillaboom from coming in. He can kind of keep in check a couple of other things from stopping it, from everything like that. Putting chip damage down on my Rodriguez as well. So overall, I do think Airlight is the best ability here. I do think Cycler comes. I don't know if it's going to be a pivot. I think it's going to most likely just be support this option. So things like U-turn, knock, rapid spin, and then either like a dragon move, a normal move, or something along those lines. So Overlord Cyclizar, I think it's not going to be that much of an issue offensively. I think it's just going to be a more and more maybe of a pivot in this matchup. Up next is Hoopa. I definitely 1,000% expect you Scarf Hoopa with Beads of Ruin. I don't have good switches for ghost types outside of Houndoom. Um, because I did not draft the normal type on my team, which I really think getting a normal type is going to be really important here, Nick, going these next future weeks. Which again, I might be making some trades for week 2. Um, I have still have plenty of time to kind of go over the teams, the tiers, and stuff like that. I think I want to make that decision yet. But I think Kuba has to come this week. I think Queenly Majesty does make its merit here. I do think it has a chance to show up. But I think with Beads of Ruin, I don't have a good switch into my team with this Pokemon. I think this Pokemon can just overwhelm me if I'm not entirely too careful. So I do think this is definitely a Pokemon that if I do not respect, is going to really overwhelm us here. And it's insanely strong. Both dual stab. I don't have which whatever I can switch into Psychic doesn't take a Shadow Ball. So I have to be very, very careful around this Hoopa. I debated around this a lot, and I actually do think Swadloon's coming. Now, do I think Webbs come first to my team? I honestly think Webbs does. I think the reason why Webbs comes to my team is they do have a lot of good fast threats that if I do not run boots on, they're kind of crippled and are going to weaken here. But I genuinely think there's some options here for us to be able to kind of just take advantage of the things to do what we need to do with it. And I overall think this is a very strong Mon. You know, as defensively, I could definitely see this thing being a Sash lead. I could see him being a Violet if he really wants to. Now, again, with being Prankster, it cannot use Strength Sap, which I believe this Pokemon does get, but it doesn't really need it when it's got Sticky Webs. So this could definitely be a Sash lead Pokemon. This could just be a Bulking Grass versus us. Just a very annoying Mon, who knows? But I do think Prankster option with Sticky Webs doesn't make good sense. Like, this is definitely a Pokemon that could be substituted out for one of the 4 that we just talked about when it came to the mons that don't show up. So very lucky option. This could be Ogerpon over Swaddle. And last, and Swallow. Last but not least, I actually think this stupid keyboard playing monkey guy comes because I'm really looking at my team, and funny enough, the amount of coverage he needs with this Pokemon fits perfectly. The problem is what is he going to be? And I think he's either going to be Specs or Scarf. There's also a viable reason for him to be something like Nasty Plot with Shardy Berry because the option to be able to instead of being nasty plot and just clicking button into my team is very scary. But I think with having Specs and Scarf, you guarantee your damage output, you guarantee the control of the matchup into your favor from that point of view. And overall, I think this is going to be one of those things that has to be very mindful about what it's doing and what it can do. But I overall think this Pokemon is actually very strong into us. And sadly, I do think it is a Pokemon that comes versus us. So that is Kaz's team real quick. So we're going ahead. I might actually might do some timestamps for these team builders as well, so we can talk about them. So obviously I'll have a timestamp for the intro, and then obviously for Kaz's team. And now we're going to talk about our team that we're bringing for week number one. And the first Pokemon we're bringing is the one I slapped on immediately when I looked at this matchup, and that is going to be my Lycanroc Dusk, aka Princess, my beautiful baby dog that I miss so dearly. And that is going to be Sword of Ruin. I really was debating between Sword of Ruin and Moxie for the longest time. Like, I was really debating this Pokemon's ability for so long here. The problem I felt with Moxie was I didn't feel confident enough that we could get a sweep started with this Pokemon. So I decided to play it safe, and we're gonna go Sword of Ruin here. Sword of Ruin works as a double-edged sword here, as it's aha. See what I did there? It's really good because I can already have a strong mon that can just click attacks without having to really worry about the risk of stuff. And then there is this option to Sword Dance on an opportunity and just click a freaking damn button and kill something, which I think is really good for us there. We are running max speed with max attack and just putting the leftover four in a stat. We are making sure we respect Pokemon speed tiers in this matchup. We are going to respect the Ogre speed tier, even if we possibly don't see it. It's definitely a speed tier we have to respect to guarantee outspeed other major threats out here. This thing's designed is to hopefully either win the game late game or hopefully set up and start breaking. Basically, if Golisopod goes down early, this Pokemon has no counterplay. This Pokemon also pretty much has no switching. This Pokemon is insanely hard for Cass to deal with offensively. This is definitely going to be a mon that he's going to have to really respect in the building. Up next is going to be my son. Real shock. I literally looked at this matchup as well and just saw this was a matchup for him. Like, he literally has no downside of this matchup whatsoever for a couple of different reasons here. We are going to run specs, and we are going to be running a very aggressive, a very aggressive speed creep that could benefit us or could hurt us here. But Electrode, in my honest opinion, is not going to run enough speed to outspeed Jolteon. I feel like that's a wasted of a speed stat there. I think he's going to outspeed our Lycanrocs or no, or what's it? Something like our Houndoom outspeeding an Ogerpon because we still need that speed for it. And now this speed outspeeds that speed creep guaranteed. So it's very aggressive, and I did think about Timid for a while, but I want to hit hard this matchup. I want this Pokemon to get some damn kills. So I'm really pumped to use Jolteon this week. We are 24 in HP, max special attack mods with a 232 speed. Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Hyper Voice, and Alluring Voice. I wanted to do Baton Pass, but Baton Pass is apparently banned in this format, which is kind of weird, but I kind of get why it is. I originally was gonna slap on Yawn then, which then I remembered, wait, it's sleep clause, can't do that. It's a sleep move, I can't do that. So I went with Alluring Voice. It's probably something I'm not clicking this matchup unless I see an opportunity to do so. But overall, it's gonna be just a filler move for some stuff. But otherwise, I'm just clicking damn buttons. Now, obviously, if Primarina comes, this is going to be a little bit concerning. But again, if it's not Volt Absorb, it's not Regen, it's going to get weakened down to the point where Hybrid Voice can then two-shot it and then knock it out. So, feeling really good about this Jolteon. Our third mon we brought this week is going to be Hisuian Braviary. Now, I took a risk on this build here, and we are going with an agility to outspeed, I believe, either the speed creep that we did with the Electrode, which I think was the idea with the Jolteon, or this is outspeeding Ogerpon. The Ogerpon. Otherwise, this Mon is clicking a goddamn button this matchup. Agility, Psychic, Hurricane, and Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball's really there just for the Hoopa, which I'm hoping can pick up a KO. It might be a guaranteed KO after maybe like a chip damage or something like that. But otherwise, Psychic and Hurricane hit like a bitch in this matchup. It is insanely hard for my opponent to counteract this Mon. It is really tough for them to switch into it. If I get the agility to sweep off right at the right moment, this Mon claims a KO. It claims two. It's going to be a mon that is going to need to be respected this week, and I really think it's going to do us insanely well here. Up next is Majora, and this is a mon that I'm looking for. I actually looked at the matchup wise, and I really thought to myself for a split second of what I wanted to do, and I just thought of a really cool idea. So we are going with Majora, which is not going to be named Ruin. I've remembered not even naming these things now, which is Majora. We're going with Filter here this week, obviously, but we're going a little risky here. We're going with Trick Room, Iron Defense, Body Press, and Shadow Claw. Basically, the idea of this is to hopefully get off that Trick Room and hopefully not deal with anything, especially Specs or Bandit. Get our Filter going right away. Get a weakness policy off and just start spamming Body Press and Shadow Claw because if you looked at his team, he has no good answer to fighting, and anything he could potentially switch into fighting we can click with Shadow Claw. So this is a Pokemon that can be very devastating in the right positioning that we have. And with Trick Room option on this team, I felt like Runerigus was super good here. And I think it's just going to be an insanely strong Pokemon this week. And I really, excuse me, really hoping to see some ring numbers here. We are max HP with 112 in defense, 144 speed up with the Terra of nature. Went a little bit more speed depth oriented on this Pokemon to be able to take hits better for things like Electrode and to hit a little, take a little more, hopefully, from the Simbus here. But with the Iron Defense up, though, we will be way more than that, and I think this will be really good against the Golisopod. So I'm really, really, really hoping this set pops off for us here and does really well for us. Up next is Doug Dimino, Humps Dimino. We are going to be rocking out with our Spadef. It's another Spadef heavy mon this week, but it's a little bit more mixed, but it's a little bit more Spadef here. We are Default, Pain Split, Sludge Bomb, and Destiny Bond. I went with Prankster this week, as I think Prankster is more important here. Default is just to make sure we get rid of webs, so we can kind of just nullify those. Pain Split to get recovery, of course. Sludge Bomb to bait out some potential poisons. I could have bit Toxic on this week, but I think I didn't want to risk it too much, or I really didn't think it was necessary, even though he's not a steel type outside of got a Stumpus that stops it. But I think it was really good here. And then we have our last move is Destiny Bond. At first, I was thinking of going with a fairy type move or something else, but then I thought to myself, if this thing's weakened and I don't show off Destiny Bond to him, I can click this and guarantee take something with me, which I think would be really, really good for us. And it can be really fun. I don't even know if he remembers this Pokemon gets Destiny Bond, but let's hope and pray that he doesn't. So, really looking forward to seeing what Weezy can do here. I think Weezy's going to do really decently well here. And I really debated back and forth on this. I debated between this, Rillaboom, and Fortress. And I ultimately settled on Houndoom. Now, why did I settle on Houndoom when arguably something like Fortress was probably the more clearer option here? I felt like Fortress gets whittled down very easily in this matchup. I feel like I can't see the clear path what I want Fortress to do without it being easily manipulated or easily maneuvered around. So I felt like, you know what, fuck it. I want to go straight offense with this mod, and I decided to go with Houndoom. Obviously, we are going to be running the drought here, so we can be able to nullify water type attacks. But obviously, when we Mega Evolve, we have solar power. And I actually took a risk here not running Solar Beam. Now, the reason why I'm not running Solar Beam is I am going to respect the option of Primordial C on that Golisopod there. So, with the Nasty Plot up, though, we are pretty much one-shotting and two-shotting every single Pokemon on his entire team, which I think is really, really good for us there. We will probably, if it's not Tough Claws, I do think we always guarantee live one hit from the first impression, which means if we get a nasty plot up, we are going to make sure that that Mon is going to die because he cannot switch in this Pokemon. I am taking a risk though running Fire Blast. Obviously, I don't really need Fire Blast this matchup, but Fire Blast is just in that case. I need to absolutely nuke something. And it also gives me something super strong against the Death's Lens, Simisear potentially. Sludge Bomb is frequently there for Primarina because obviously Primarina can be able to stop the Sun can actually be the Wallace there as well. And I felt like Sludge Bomb was better than Solar Beam because Solar Beam is super reliant on my sun being up and not being taken away from us with the Primordial Sea. So we are 40 HP, max special attack, and 216 speed. Like I said, we are respecting the Ogerpon speed tier. Obviously, this does not represent the Ogerpon speed tier. This is just us when we are pre-Mega. When we do Mega Evolve, we will be faster than Ogerpon and anything possible below it. So that is going to be the team, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. What did you think of this team? Did we think we went with the wrong abilities? Did we didn't go with the right Pokemon? What do you think you would have probably brought to this matchup instead? But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just call it a night. Obviously, I am not playing this game tomorrow against Cat. Those who have said that. We are actually be playing the start of next week which is another full week of week one. Week one got extended based on the time frame of when the draft stopped, and also based on some people's scheduling. So the entire week one has been extended. So you will get a battle next week, not this week, unfortunately. But again, this team builder is going to be actually uploaded on the week before, or like the day before, or is going to be uploaded obviously on the day of the battle. So, with that being said, though, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys did stick around for the entirety of this video, please leave a like, comment down below. The comment word is going to be dogs. Comment down dogs if you've watched the entirety of this video. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I believe Kaz is also uploading his run, so definitely go check out Kaz's link down in the description down below. I will also link it when we do the battle. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.